Hi guys, welcome to another of my mini lectures on the digestive tract that I'm asking you to watch while I'm away at a conference in Oregon. So thank you for your patience and watching these videos, which I know aren't as good as being in class on a Friday or a Monday and checking it out. So this lecture is about the phases of digestion. I looked down at my notes. You're going to see me looking a bunch on my notes. And this lecture is targeted more for the 259 folk more than the 159. I'm going to put it for both you guys to check this video out. But for the 259, I want you to pay attention to the three different phases and the neural and hormonal kind of components. Not necessarily need to understand the mechanism fully, but just an overview of the neural and hormonal parts of each phase. You know, why does it operate that way? So let's get started. I'm laughing because I had to try this again because I messed up the first time. So I'm gonna make me be a little before I go to the PowerPoint because it didn't work so well when I did it the other way. And all right, the three phases. So the three phases are the cephalic, right, your head phase, the gastric phase, that's your stomach, and then the intestinal phase, which is going to be associated with the small intestine. So when we're looking at this, there we go. When we look at the cephalic phase, so the cephalic phase, let me get off of this clicker, get to that fancy little pen that I'm writing with. The cephalic phase really only has a neural component. Not a hormonal component. And it's going to be, oh gosh, I'm going to look at my notes because I blink out when I am being recorded and watched. Three different cranial nerves that stimulate saliva production and start getting the stomach ready for its activity. So I have, now I'm looking at it, right, the facial nerve, the glossopharyngeal one. I remembered that one. And then there's the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve means I'm going to be in parasympathetic mode. That's my resting and digesting mode. And this gets stimulated, right? What actually turns this on? And it isn't necessarily food in the mouth. It's like the thoughts of food, the smells, and of course, food in the mouth are going to kickstart this phase to make saliva. And that parasympathetic one via the vagus nerve is going to say, hey, stomach, food's coming your way. So when we get to the gastric phase, there's two parts. There's neural and hormonal. So the neural is due to I have stretch receptors in the stomach, right? So for a feedback mechanism of, hey, my stomach is fuller, stimulate gastric secretions, and also chemoreceptors that are looking at the pH. If your pH becomes less acidic, right? Because typically the pH of the stomach is going to be a pH of about 2. That's some nasty stuff. And if it's less acidic, that is also going to stimulate production of gastric juices. Hormonal, the main hormone we're going to talk about is gastrin, coming off of those gastric pits. So I know there is a feedback mechanism. Let's see. This looks like this is the neural, right? pH and motility. So when food is entering into the stomach is stretching, the pH has become less acidic, pH is increasing, and that is going to be detected by cells in the stomach going to, well, it's staying local. So my control center it's not necessarily going up to the brain at this point, but it's telling the stomach to increase its activity, to contract more, right? Remember, there were the three sets of muscles. longitudinal, circular, and oblique, that now are going to be stimulated because of the distension, and it's going to tell those parietal cells to make more acid. So it's increasing stomach activity. Now, unfortunately, there is not a slide about the, oh, a little bit. All right, so then when it comes to this hormone gastrin, I don't want to screw this up. So gastrin's coming off of those neuroendocrine G cells in those gastric pits of the stomach, and the stimulus for this is distension of the stomach. Caffeine. So caffeine increases stomach activity, or my high pH also stimulates the secretion of this hormone. And it's going to, well, let's look at this for a second. What is this hormone? Well, so this hormone goes in the blood, goes all the way from the blood till it gets to back to the stomach. And I'm going to make more gastric juice, so more acid, increase the motility. But then here's the other thing that it does. It closes off the lower esophageal sphincter, so it's trying to prevent ulcer and acid splashing up, right? Prevent, esophageal ulcer. And it's going to open up this pyloric sphincter so that food can, well, really it's called chyme, not so much food, enters the duodenum. All right, so one of the hormones that I'm asking you to tuck away, 259 folk, is gastrin coming off the stomach. So I have neural, stretch receptors, pH, chemoreceptors, and then gastrin to also support that activity. Now, I think these other two hormones are from the intestine, and there isn't anything in here about the neural aspect of it. So let's go to this next one. So when we're looking at the small intestine, oh, let's go back to that other slide. Does it say anything about intestinal phase? Nope. It's just when, so for the small intestine, nice handwriting, Laura Skinner, when food's in the duodenum. I have a neural input, and that neural input, right, so presence, stress receptors, presence of food. Let's see, contrast with this. Let's see, I don't want to. So when stretch receptors of the small intestine are activated, when these guys are activated of the small intestine, what that does is that closes the pyloric sphincter. That says, hey, stomach, don't send us any more food. We're good. And so food's going to stay in the stomach. The other aspect that's happening is the hormonal aspect. So there's two main hormones that we're going to be responsible for associated with the small intestine. And the first one is secretin. Really, I don't want to talk about that one first. I want to talk about cholecystokinin. Cholecystokinin is a hormone coming off the small intestine. And this is a major hormone. And this one is stimulated due to proteins being present, triglycerides, and fatty acids. And I want to see if is there anything else. So, watch. There's two separate. There's a couple things going on with cholecystokinin and CCK. So the first thing is that CCK is going to say, hey, let in the pancreatic juice and bile. So it's going to open up that sphincter to let it dump into the duodenum, right? So it's going into the duodenum. And the other one is that this is what the hormone that gives you the feeling of being full. So there's one, relaxes that sphincter. Two, I feel full. And then three is slow. Well, let's keep, All right, hold on. You know, that's me pressing the wrong buttons with this pen. The third one is that it slows down gastric emptying. And, well, all right, fourth, helps my pancreas develop properly. All right. Secretin. Now, in your book, it's kind of funny because in the book it says secretin supports cholecystokinin, and in PowerPoint it says cholecystokinin supports secretin. Well, secretin is stimulated by this pH change of this acid, and it stimulates the pancreatic juice to release a lot of bicarbonate, and that buffers the acid and makes it not acidic, because the small intestine can't handle all that acid. And the other thing that it does is that it also, like CCK, will slow down the stomach so that the small intestine has time. Well, all right, and growth and maintenance of the pancreas. Sure, whatever. Sorry, distracted by noises in the house. So in my small intestine, I have the neural phase, which is activating stretch receptors to close that pyloric sphincter. And then I have the secretin hormone and CCK, cholecystokinin hormone. And their actions, which is all about closing the stomach off and keeping the chyme that's in the duodenum and neutralizing it, releasing the bicarbonate, and getting all the pancreatic enzymes and bile for chemical digestion to happen. So, oops, I'm on the wrong thing here. I think that is all I wanted to say about this. So if you read the book, there are other hormones. I'm not going to talk about them. I'm going to stick with those three. And I guess that'll do it for, what am I talking about? Oh, the phases of digestion. Thanks, guys. Take care. See you soon.